two gentlemen from what you and I described as a few months ago the most rogue YouTube streaming setup in cricket in the UK. Now, let's be brutal about this. Our friends at Three Bridges in Sussex, they're the leaders in this. They're way ahead of everyone, done a phenomenal job. But they just take the videos, they edit it, they make it all very nice, and it's great. What our friends at Oxford Downs in the home counties do is a little bit more live. So joining us, we've got Mr. Simon Smith and Mr. Matt Bowden from Oxford Downs, the roguest streaming network in the entire bloody cricket world. How you doing, boys?
Good morning, Ian. Good morning, Teddy. Lovely to see you.
Absolutely. How you doing, Matt?
Very well, thank you.
Good to see you guys. Let's start at the top with what we've just talked about. You guys are a 100-plus-year-old club, proper traditional club, but you're so ahead of your time when it comes to having commentators week in, week out on your streaming. Where did that start, Simon?
Well, first and foremost, I'm going to big up Matt here. For most of what I'm going to say, but it's quite common, as you know, for people to have live streaming of the games that are going on, and I've done it. My son plays for Oxfordshire, and most of the other ones just have the pictures, and you watch them, and if you know what you're looking at, it's fine. But actually, it's a little bit soulless and a little bit dull.
Yeah.
And we are blessed at Oxford Downs with neighbours all around the club who absolutely love the club, run the club, participate. Not, I've been at clubs before where neighbours get very, very cranky about cricket being played anywhere near them, don't give the balls back, stuff like that.
How
Our
dare you play
neighbours.
cricket on a 200-year-old cricket ground?
Exactly, that sort of stuff. So we're extremely lucky to have people like Matt, who lives in the closest house to the cricket pitch, and all the other people that live around. They actually have a little mini setup. You'll know it on my commentary. I call it the arm to shank stand,
Yeah.
and they've actually got a little mini sort of setup there where they all come out, have pims and drinks, and watch the cricket. And that's the sort of buy-in we get from our neighbouring residents. And Matt, as the closest neighbouring resident, also happens to be a sensational computer geek. And he's got bit by bit, he said, why don't we try and do commentary on it? And I said, oh, I don't know. I'm normally a bit tied for words and stuff like that. I don't know whether that will fit.
Never
And
tied
anyway,
for words.
and my colleague for most of the time, a chap called Matt Watts, who we call Barnes, because back in the day he was compared with Stuart Barnes on the rugby pitch. That's the only reason he's called that. I'm called Bear, as you probably know from our podcast. There's a long story about that, which I won't bore you with now. And anyway, Matt has told us that we had the ability to do commentary on it, and we thought, well, look, if I hadn't been an accountant, I would have loved to have been a commentator in cricket. I absolutely love nothing more than sitting there watching the game I love, talking utter bollocks, if you mind the terminology, but also making the pictures make sense, come alive. Matt has introduced as the latest thing a joystick, so it can be moved backwards and forwards, but we're not like television. Haven't got five cameras showing you where everything's going. So we do have to paint a little bit of a picture about what's happened off camera. But bit by bit, so Matt's given us personalities by having a camera inward facing, as you know. And then the most important thing is to have the camera watching the cricket that's going on out there. And the tech he's got, it takes a lot of setup. I'm a bit like Cilla Black. I just turn up and do my stuff, and it's taken hours to get everything ready and sorted in the right position for the production to happen. So here's what it's all about. He will tell you the technical side of it. I'm just sort of front of house, really.
How difficult is it, Matt? I mean, put it in simple terms to our listeners who are listening and going, okay, I'd love to do that at our club, and we've probably got a couple of guys who could talk crap for 6 hours as well. Yeah, how difficult is it, Matt?
Sort of developed over a period of time. It's all kind of as cheap as I can possibly do it because I haven't got loads of money, but equally trying to match what I see on TV. So yeah, it's not your Envy Play and it's not your Frogbox. They're great systems, but I wanted a little bit more. It allows me picture in picture. It allows me to put adverts up, so we can, in theory, make a little bit of revenue from it. But it's just developed over a period of time.
And in terms of setup for yourself, I mean, Simon says it takes hours. Is this a week in, week out job? You go over every Saturday morning, or have you got, behind the scenes? Pull that curtain back. Is some of it already set up, or is it every week you have to go and do it?
So a couple of years ago, we converted a horse box. So that's developed over a period of time as well. They put a couple of windows in it because the guys had to get out of their seats to have a look out what was going on the field. So we put 2 windows each side now, so they can just look out the window, see what's going on.
I mean, the windows being put in has been an absolute game changer for us, and they're probably about 2 foot by 1 foot in the side perspex windows. But as Matt quite rightly said, we depending on the angle that we're watching it, there was massive blind spots, so we couldn't actually tell you if there was a deep fine leg or a deep third man because we couldn't see it. With these small windows, it's increased our vision by I'd say about 90%. It's absolutely fantastic. So we can actually see all the way around now. So it's like this is the sort, as Matt said, it's a bit by bit process. The bear pit is just a fixture of the club now. To be fair, we only do it for the home first team games and other selected games. We did one for Cricket Week, and we've promised to do one for the women's final league match of the season because they absolutely love it and we want to be an all-inclusive club more than anything. So that's great as well. But but Matt does understate what he does. There are wires and buttons and knobs everywhere. And just to tell you how difficult it is, Matt was away with his son doing cricket the other day. We were commentating and something happened. I think I might have yanked a cord or something.
You pulled the power out there.
We were completely,
which is pretty disastrous.
completely blind and unable. We were desperately texting Matt saying, "What do you do?" And we were trying to get video, all sorts of stuff like that. But so without him, there would be no production, and what he does is incredible. What we do, I mean, it just so happens that my co-commentator Barnes and I, our sons open the batting for the first team, so it's always a little bit of extra tension and stuff going on when they come out, and we can sort of feel the nervous parent and all that sort of stuff sort of oozing out of the bear pit into the ground.
It's fascinating to me how you can go from zero to inverted commas heroes, they say, with the way you guys have gone about it. And I think I've had the privilege of being around a lot of cricket grounds this year, but through work that I do elsewhere. And you're right, you see that setup, but it all looks very simple. It all looks as though that, it's all been plonked in and away you go. But it takes time and it takes effort. There's no two ways about it. Yeah, I think the way you've just talked about including the women's game into it as well, Simon, you're bang on there because that takes it to another sphere, literally.
Well, it's really, I mean, it is still really a fledgling part of the club, but they are going from strength to strength. Matt's daughter is one of their young stars, so he's very proud of that. But also, I'm not one of these people that thinks that cricket should only be played by men. The women's team is one of the most up and coming teams in our club at the moment. They are winning all the leagues. It's what you normally get with a new team. They win until they find the correct league to be in, and they're going through that process at the moment. But they are a decent side, and the more they have a coach and they take it seriously. So I think it's only fair that, I mean, the trouble is they play at funny times, and so but we've got an opportunity to do their last game of the season. The only problem is it's after the club night, awards night, and general piss up, shall I say. So you might find a slightly jaded-headed Bear and Barnes coming out of the bear pit on that day, but we will definitely be there. I have to say, they get very excited. Most of our views, and this is true, come with players viewing the production after the game is finished. I mean, we do have between sort of 30 and 80 people watching it live and dipping in and out. And we haven't even had people listening to us in their garden while they're gardening. And but most of the people, especially the players, they want to, especially if they've done well, they want to go back and watch their innings bit by bit. One of the newest things that Matt has introduced is the highlights reel. And the highlights reel is a great innovation because you can actually watch the whole game and the commentary in one great bit. The only problem was with that is that I am, as you probably watched, I'm slightly partisan in the way I commentate, but I'm fair to opposition. If the opposition plays a great shot, I'll call it out. But I do get excited if we do well. And someone did message in saying it's a really great reel, but could you just turn that annoying bloke off? And we suggested you can always watch with the sound down. We've got no problem with that. But
No, see, I'm on board with this because I know at my club we're only a Div 3 club, but we have live streaming and we were early adopters to it. And one of the irritations for me is that if I am in my garden or if I am somewhere else and I am having a quick look at the stream, it is A, as you say, soulless. B, there is no life to it whatsoever. And C, actually, it would be really easy to just have that commentary ticking over.
yeah,
We all watch cricket on TV, and whether we like it or not, it is not the same without a commentary. Full stop. End of story.
yeah,
You
sure.
have to paint a picture not just of what you see, but what's around the place, isn't it?
Yeah, and we really encourage people to get involved on the chat line, and even if people criticise us, we're very happy to answer that and deal with that and adjust it or say sorry if we have to say sorry, and we want more of that. I've got one of my old schoolmates listens from America every single game. And he's a real, and he sort of texts me separately saying, great game today, good commentary. And I'm thinking, what time did you stay up listening to our commentary on a league game for? There's one time, I think a couple of weeks ago, where we had 5 different countries because we have people that are away on holiday or whatever. We had 5 different countries were listening to our broadcast,
Yeah.
which I think was great. We became truly international on that day.
You've read my mind on where I was going to go with this. The most rogue cricket on YouTube is actually full stop end of story. Our friends at European Cricket Network. The
Yeah,
boys at ECN, Vinny Sandu, the lead commentator, and all the team around them, they go around Europe year in, year out. I think this year they're doing something like 45 weeks of cricket, which is just ridiculous. And watching them, to me, is just brilliant because of the commentary. It is because of
yeah,
that. And you picked up on a big thing there. They interact day in, day out with their chatters. They have their chat on the side. And if
yeah,
I jump in there, automatically Vinny's going to say, oh, Livo's in for the Premier League Cricket Club. What's he
yeah,
saying about this? What's it? And some of us can WhatsApp them because we might have their number and we can say, you're talking shit. Or we can
yeah.
say, this player has got these runs and this, because we are experts in the UK game in particular. But I think that's what you guys do. You could give that opportunity to not just your own guys, but anyone who's watching to go, actually do something different, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, we do have to. I mean, we do have to do some serious stuff sometimes, and we do have to explain where the field is. We have to explain to people who don't really understand cricket why they're not running a single because they're protecting the local at the other end. So we do sort of like to show people that we do know a little bit about what we're doing. And Matt, I said when he first started doing this, he'll be the first to admit, didn't know an awful lot about cricket. He wasn't. He was a very technically gifted man on the geek stuff, but when it came, but Matt, having been sitting next to Barnes and myself over all this time, he's now really becoming pretty knowledgeable. In fact, he's an umpire as well. He umpires. He when we need him, he plays for our fourth 11, and so he's embraced and discovered a new thing in his life, which is cricket. And I know that we go on a lot, and he chirps in, but he's very good at all the sort of technical stuff. He can sort of flash up and give me a screen to read what all the other scores are going on today, which is really important as well because
Yeah.
we're at a stage in the game. All the people listening don't want to go through the procedure of Googling the league and then Googling this and eventually get into the right place. If we can tell them what stage all the other games are at the same time, then that works really well. So
Absolutely.
he helps me with all that and keeping my screens so that I
And
can sort of do stuff.
that leads me to ask Teddy, dead simple, Teddy. You play in the same league as these guys. When they started commentating on you lot in the home counties, what was the first reaction amongst players? Was it, oh my word, or oh, that's fabulous?
Well, it wasn't the latter. We were like, what are these guys doing? We turn up, this team's just come into Division One, and we go, who on earth are these blokes? And and then
I
you
did get
know
the
what?
list, by the way.
As time goes on, you learn to appreciate it. Not when you're sat there with your pad still on, crying in the changing room, and you hear the commentator, like you said, looking back at your own highlights, and the commentator say, "Well, that wasn't a very good shot," and it just spoils your day. But you know what? Yeah, from a player perspective, it's quality to have, and
we're always keen to get the opposition into the bear pit. Any opportunity to get an opposition player into the bear pit will, and I know because I've been playing and watching cricket in Oxfordshire for 40 odd years now, so I know a lot of people. So the other day we had Paul Humphreys from Aston Rowan, who's an old mate of mine. He came in and sat, and we just had a general chat. Luke List, another sort of legend of yesteryears gone, who's all his kids are now playing, but get these back, and yes, it does get a little bit nostalgic. We talk about the good old days and all that sort of stuff. But it's just it's a great way of passing the time by.
And let's be honest, listen to TMS or watch Sky Sports. They don't just talk about what's in front of them. They get nostalgic. They talk about it. So you're doing all, in my opinion, the right things, but not because they're the right things to do. It's just natural. It's a conversation. If you were to sit there and say, XYZ is bowled from this end and this is where the ball's got, it'd be boring as crap.
Yeah, absolutely. And I'd bore myself, to be honest. Yeah, I'd bore myself, to be honest. And some people say that I go on a bit, but I get excited. But I literally sit down, and the only time I get up is for lunch and tea. The rest of the time and the time goes so quickly. And I might say, oh, he's fallen for the waft outside the off stump or whatever. But I'll also go, if one of the opposition goes, one of my catchphrases is, "It's a 10," and people know that that's completely ridiculous because you can't get 10. But it's gone so far, and if the opposition do it as well, I'll do the same thing. And the other one is I quite like going, well, nobody moved. It's gone straight through a message to bowler, not there, and sort of all my sort of little catchphrases. In fact, there is part of one of Matt's tunes which I also don't understand, where there are buttons to press which spurt up various things. And I think there was a suggestion that I could put all of my catchphrases under those buttons and then press it. But I like doing it for real, so I don't really know if I need to do that. But I mean, look, it's
6 and 2 3s that way.
It's a privilege that we are playing at the highest level of amateur cricket that you can play at, and it's a privilege that I can watch my son and the rest of the team and all the other teams that come to play against us and actually commentate on it. It is definitely not a chore, I can assure you.
Yeah, and I think you talk about that excitement, and we'll come back to finish off our conversation about streaming later, but let's talk at the Home Counties League right now. Third place. You must be pretty excited about where the club is right now, and up to towards the end of your red ball section right now in the Home Counties. You're going to go back into Winlooks cricket. You are in third behind Finch, but you've still got High Wycombe to come. I think last game of the season as well.
Yeah, on our presentation awards night, wouldn't that be a fantastic way to win the league either for us or Finch? I mean, we like Finch; they're a nice bunch of guys. We like
hang on. Fight. You like Finch? Did you notice, Teddy? You know what I'm going to do now. Do you not like High Wycombe?
No, I didn't say that I don't like High Wycombe, but we particularly like Finch. Look, it's High Wycombe, a little bit like the Real Madrid of our league. They have the Galacticos, and when Harrison Ward is an old friend of mine as well, and when he suddenly stops playing for Sussex and comes straight into the team, you think, oh my God. But cricket is a great leveler, and one of the things that these guys aren't used to is some of the pitches that we play on in this league. They're used to batting on first class roads, and the ball comes on nicely and they can hit through the ball. You can't do that on every pitch in our league. But, also I would say about High Wycombe, in a massive positive for them, they have a lot of people watching their games. They have a lot of buy-in and a lot of interest from the local people. So from that point of view, they are definitely a club, which is great to see. Going back to us in the Division 1, well, first of all, it's very exciting. I mean, we'd had that COVID where we'd had a little bit of a jumble up of the two leagues. So we had played some of the other, and in fact, in that COVID jumble up, we did quite well. So we kind of had a thought that we'd be okay. And when we came up last year, the first time, I think there was a little bit of the opposition we played didn't actually think we would be very good.
Mhm.
And I think we got away with some, well, I wouldn't say easy points, but we got away with some good points early on in the season by surprising people that actually we could play cricket, and they shouldn't take us for granted. So last year, I think that definitely helped us in a sort of mid-table security type position. This season, I knew that it would be a lot harder because the teams are going to, they're going to absolutely take us seriously. They will have seen who performed last season and they'll target them. It's what proper sport's about. You look at the best players in the opposition and you work out how to target them. So we knew that it'll be a lot harder this year. And I think one of the things we have, I mean, as you know, we don't pay anybody to play at this club. I think we let them off match fees in the first team, but we do have an overseas pro, and our overseas pro this year has been sensational. He's been sensational with
Louis, isn't he?
he's been sensational with bat and with ball, and he's doing great stuff with the juniors training and all. He has just turned into a fantastic club man. Now, I'm not saying that the previous players we had weren't any good, but this guy wins us cricket matches, whereas the other guys we didn't necessarily feel it's okay, we got him, he's going to help. But also he's instilled a certain amount of professionalism, but not in the wrong way, with some of our players. One of the early games we played against Wargrave, and we got 298, which is a really big score. He came off furious because he thinks we should have got 350, and he said that we hadn't maximised the amount of wickets we had left with really going for it and getting 350. As it turned out, it was more than enough because they were still without Ewan Woods at that time. Yeah. And, he makes a big difference for that team. But he's instilled a certain amount of professionalism without it going too far that, people are questioning, what it's all about, sort of thing. So he has been a very important factor in us doing well this season. And I have to give a shout out to George Sambach, who is an exceptionally talented cricketer and has had an unbelievably good season so far. And he's swapped the opening spot in the long form because Freddie Smith keeps wicket, and the feeling is that he probably ought not to keep wicket for long periods of time and then go and open the batting, etc. And George has taken to that extremely well. And we can't underestimate Tom Costley, who was injured all of last season. Him coming back, I say jokingly on commentary, it's like having 3.5 players, because he bats brilliantly, he bowls brilliantly, he's a gun fielder, but also he's a motivational he's a bit like Ben Stokes, he's a motivational guy. So it's a bit like having 3.5 players back, having him back. So all those little things have been good for us. I mean, we left a lot of points out last season in the red ball game by not finishing sides off. There were a lot of draws we had when there were 2 or 3 wickets down with a lot of overs to go that we just couldn't finish them off. I feel now that we're in a better position to finish them off. So, we have no pretensions about where we're going to win the league from. I'll do the old cliche, we'll play each game as it comes, but every game is a hard game. The teams at the bottom who've not had a great start to the season are fighting for their lives. We saw Stoke Green won last week. I think they won last week, and they're suddenly started to put things together. So every game in this last month and a bit is going to be a really hard game. But we're just really pleased to be here, to be fair.
Absolutely. I was going to look at the batters in particular. You look at the top 10 in the Home Counties League, Teddy, and George Sambach is in 8th position right now in the league with 440 Premier League runs. You look at the 7 batters ahead of him: Chris Britt, Dan Lincoln, Matt Dalrymple, Gareth Severin, Johnny Connell, Charlie Dunnett, Cam Hemp. This is a star-studded bunch of players to be just behind, isn't it? So George has done a great job.
Big out my son, as you do sometimes, but last season he was the top. He was the top run scorer in the league, and he was helped a little bit by Chris Britt having to go back to play his professional cricket for the last 3 games. And I said to Freddie, "You've just actually," and can I just say that the award he got, the cap, was absolutely fantastic. We put it up behind the bar, haven't we, Matt? It's his pride of place behind the bar. But I said to him, "You're going to find this season hard because you're going to be a marked man." And it's only just in the last 3 innings that he's actually started now to get back to the levels that he was last season. But it's you're right. I mean, Dan Lincoln has been been a top player for a long time at this level, and what he does in the league, he does for Berkshire as well, and he is a consummate professional. And that game against High Wycombe, we took an absolute battering, to be fair, and it was the games we've lost. It's been quite bizarre. We have taken pretty heavy batterings. We took a battering at Finch as well, but so we don't lose, but narrowly we get absolutely whooped, and then the rest of the time we're winning or getting winning draws. So it's quite bizarre, really.
They're the entertainers, therefore, Teddy. They go all at it. They're going to go one way or the other. Truly cemented their place in Div 1 now, and just building up that club around them, aren't they?
Yeah, it's really interesting because typically you see, clubs like the Harefields who go up and then go back down and then back up, and Oxford Downs have done really well to kind of stay and cement themselves in the league. It's very rare to see a team come up into the Prem and then kind of are in contention for that third, second, first spot. So hats off to them. I find it really interesting though. Like we talk about the top 10 run scorers, top 10 bowling. You've got one player from Oxford Downs in your top 10 batting.
Yeah.
You've got one player from Finch in the top 10 batting.
Yeah.
You got three players from Henley and they're in sixth.
Correct.
So what do we think is going wrong there?
Well, Henley were one of the teams that gave us a whooping as well. So I think they would look at themselves and think they've probably underperformed so far in the league. I mean, they're a really good side. And they have lots of Berkshire players playing for them as well. And they're just a very good side. But I think there are about 7 or 8 teams in the league who, all of whom on their day could be anyone in the league. And that makes it an exciting league. It means that no one's taking anybody for granted, and I think that's quite important. The quality of cricket is great, and it's good to see, and it's great to be part of it. We really try to grow our own players. We have hundreds of juniors running around on a Wednesday. We have to try and sift out the really, really good ones, the potential ones. Otherwise, it's a bit like herding cats, and they're going to get frustrated. Look, we're not silly. We do need, if someone offers themselves to us as a player wanting to change clubs, and we think they're a potential first team player, we're not going to turn them away. But part of the thing that keeps us going strongly is the fact that the large core of our players have grown up through the club from being tiny kids all the way to playing in the first 11. And we have got a crop of youngsters sort of floating around, Matt, in the sort of 15, 16 age group, haven't we, that we think will be first team players. But it is a big step. This is cricket not to be sniffed at. It's, you can't play in this league if you're not up to it. As from the standard, because you'll get found out.
Louis the Pro was saying how the standard of fielding is as best he's ever seen at first class at that level. To give you an idea, maybe the batting and the bowling slightly better, obviously on the first class front, but the fielding is one of the things that certainly when I watched the first and second team, the level of fielding at the Premier League level is just outstanding.
I always use, Matt, as my sort of barometer for these things. I always use the warm up as a really good barometer to see what's going to happen in the game. And there's no doubt, if you look at the National Club Championship, for example, and I see teams who might have been 6th, 7th, 8th in their Premier League last year, playing the National Knockout, and they turn up to play one of the top teams, and you see how they're warming up before the game, doing their fielding practice. You can already see, before you even start, who are going to be the absolute outstanding fielders. And you nailed it. I think the home counties... it's fair to say we split the league, the 33 EC Premier Leagues, into about 4 groups. The home counties is in that top echelon, no two ways about it. The quality of players is right up there. The fielding standards in the home counties, I think, is hugely underrated, because what people who are listening don't realise half the time is a lot of these players play NCCA cricket. And because they're playing NCCA cricket, these are basically all of your next level first-class county players. We've seen a number of players sign in the last couple of weeks for first-class counties. And Simon and Matt and Teddy, you'll all, I'm sure, agree with me. We see players week in, week out at Premier League level who go, how the hell are they not further up that ladder? Because
Yeah.
they're that bloody good. Yeah, and I'm looking at the bowlers right now in the top 10 in the home counties, and I'm gonna come to a name that comes up regularly. Mister, I'll never get a fifer very often, but he does get them once or twice. Connor Haddo. Is there a better left arm bowler out there in Premier League cricket right now? English left arm bowler.
Yeah.
I struggle to name them, to say the least. But what's really interesting in the Home Counties League is you're the only one with two bowlers in the top 10. All the
Yeah.
others just got one. And I think that goes back to what you said, Simon. Everybody's beating each other because you're all the sum of your team rather than individual highlights, isn't it?
I think those two bowlers are Del Boy, as I'll tell you about the name in a minute, and Tom Costley, and they're the two people I mentioned that we didn't have last year. Just on the double, he's obviously got Louis Delport. I walked up to him the first time I met him, and I said, have you ever heard of Only Fools and Horses? And he said, yeah, great program. I said, right, you are Del Boy from now on. And he absolutely loved it. And I think, he's embraced that. I mean, I think he thought I was a bit of an idiot at that stage, but I think he's got to know me and now he's convinced I'm an idiot. But it, and no, yes, those two bowlers have been instrumental. Tom Costley will never give up when he's bowling. He is like a man possessed. Incidentally, he was injured all last season. Do you know what his cure for being injured was? He went off to play rugby for a season as soon as the cricket season finished, and that appears to because my co-commentator Barnes, he coaches a local rugby side, and Tom went and played for him, and that was rehabilitation, playing rugby. Extraordinary. But he's come back like a man machine. He absolutely vehemently hates losing.
Can we call Baz McCullum now? And we get Ben Stokes to play rugby between now and November the first test.
What a great idea! What a
He
great
used to
idea.
be a rugby player, though, didn't he?
On Cockermouth, I mean, he played rugby in his early days.
Yeah, and the pitches will have been wet in Cockermouth because the only times I've ever been there, it's poured with rain.
Yeah, just a wee bit.
And just on Ben Stokes, how sensational has his bowling been this season? It's just been unbelievable, hasn't it? We need to wrap him in cotton wool and take him to Australia in absolutely prime fitness.
He's been incredible, but I am very, very, very openly critical about him bowling in the last test. I sat on analyst duty at that test and watched him bowl on Sunday morning, and every single ball he bowled, he was in agony. And
Yes.
kept ringing myself and the scorers in the score box, like, what is he doing? We predicted he wasn't going to play this game. We predicted it straight away.
But don't forget, we had a lioness called Lucy Bronze who played the whole tournament with a broken leg. Talk us through that one.
there's playing with an injury, and when I read that one, it was like, hang on a minute, that's a different world altogether, isn't it? But hey, we go for a slight tangent as you guys do.
Yeah, sorry.
All the time.
That's my fault. Sorry.
No, absolutely. Home counties, I think you nailed it, Simon, when you said everybody is beating everybody at the moment. Some of those, Wargrave were. I'm going to use my favourite phrase. Wargrave, after halfway through the season, were up shit creek with our paddle. There's no two ways about it. We were like, what the hell's gone on there? We know they lost a few players. But actually, now people are starting to get one or two results. The league's just squeezing up. It's tightening up. And I think the last third of the season is going to be really competitive, isn't it?
I don't think you can underestimate them getting you. I saw Ewan Woods on the first game that we played against them way back, and the way his arm was wrapped up, I thought he was toast for the whole season. But obviously he's back, and he makes a massive difference. He's like three players. So he's and that's got to have a little bit to do with it. But I mean, look, just as a very old cricketer, I find this two formats in the same league in the same season absolutely fascinating. I mean, it would, as a player, I would have wondered whether I was coming again, but I played so long ago, we didn't have white ball cricket in those days. We just had the one, but it is so interesting. I mean, there is a tiny element of luck that the teams you play in white ball, that might not be their favourite in the season, and the teams you play in red, but vice versa. You may get the luck rolling with you that the teams you play in white ball aren't so good at white ball, and the teams you play in red ball, and it sort of switches over. So, but other than that, it is, and it's even made even more interesting by sandwiching the red ball in between the two white balls. Unless it's going to be pink ball next season, is it? Or no, it's pink ball now. It's white ball next season. Is that right?
Correct.
So yeah, that's right.
Correct.
So I think, which will be interesting because I find it very difficult to follow the pink ball. I went to the only ever day-night test match they've had in this country at Edgbaston. It was A, freezing, absolutely freezing, and B, I couldn't see the ball. I just can't see pink balls at all. And then I went back and watched it on television, and I still couldn't see it. So it's just one of those
I
things.
am absolutely with you. Yeah, I can follow a red ball all day long, across green trees, the full works.
Yeah,
Follow a white ball. I was following a white ball yesterday. Great green background it was at Edgbaston Sports Ground. Pink ball. And correct me if I'm wrong, Teddy. I don't know many batters who like the pink ball. Bat breakers, they call them most of the time.
I actually love the pink ball. I can't stand the red ball. Get rid of it. But
that's because the seam's too big. The seam's too big on the red balls.
the ball's not allowed to move around. Like, it's not fair. But no, like,
Is that your excuse this season?
let's not talk about my season. All right. Every player will say it that the Red Bull game is where teams win leagues and lose leagues. I mean, just from a Wycombe perspective, we've drawn one of the Red Bull games and won every other one. So it's where teams win. And we did a lot of kind of conversations with people in the winter about how they're going to go about their Red Bull cricket. And there's been a difference this year in the amount of wins versus draws. Every week we look and it's, 80% wins, 20% draws, whereas previously it would have been the opposite. So I think teams are being more aggressive. They want those 25 points.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's bizarre that the sort of you can batter a side and only get 12 points or something like that, and the side that you battered get 11. It's one of those sort of weird things, but that's where we fell down last year, and that's where we're a bit better at this year in having finishers that finish people off.
Yeah, and you can see clearly in the league table where Wycombe are two wins ahead of Finch, and that is the gap in the points. Finch and Oxford Downs are then 3 wins ahead of Harefield. You can see that gap again, and it is just squeezing those extra wins in those red balls does make all the difference, doesn't it?
Absolutely, yeah, it does, and it's exciting stuff. I mean, people don't get that. You can have a really exciting draw in cricket. I mean, just look at the test match that we won by 25 runs. For large proportions of that game, ball was being blocked. They weren't running runs because they were protecting the other batsmen. And to the non-knowledgeable people, it was nothing going on. It was boring. But all of us were glued to the screen. All of us were glued to our chairs. We weren't going anywhere because it was, and you get that in the red ball. In the white ball, sometimes the game is dead. I mean, if the team batting first clocks up 400 and the team batting second is 40 for 4 after 10 overs, there's not an awful lot that's going to happen that's going to turn that game around, and the game's dead by that stage. Whereas it's not. You can always bat out for a draw. We were 25 for 5 against Aston Rowant, and we batted out for a draw, and that was not necessarily because we wanted to get the points, but we didn't want Aston Rowant to get the winning points. And then you bring that into the equation. It's not just about not wanting to lose, but it's not making sure that the other team doesn't win.
Yeah,
and that. Sorry, let me get rid of that again. And that comes into play with the red ball, whereas in the white ball and the pink ball, it really is very straightforward about the way teams. Don't get me wrong, you do get really exciting games. But that you also get very quickly non-games, depending on whether one side has gone absolutely bananas.
absolutely.
Let's talk about Harefield for a second. I mean, they're 4th. They've only won 3 games. That means there's 9 games they've either lost or drawn, and they're 4th. How on earth does that work?
So presumably that's all the ones that obviously they've drawn, all the red ball ones, and they've got 13 points.
They've drawn 2 games. 2.
Yeah, and the key to it's very simple. They've got 54 bowling points versus the next highest is 36 in the league. So they've managed to grab bowling points, which has kept it up. And again, that is, I mean, we go on about it week in, week out. Bowling points, batting points, point systems across Premier Leagues and across the whole country. I'm sure somebody bought a box of licorice all sorts one year, and that's how they decide them, because they're all over the place, to say the least.
Yeah.
Trying to find the balance is very difficult, but I think by having the red ball in the middle, as you say, and the limited overs either end, it tries to balance that out because then everyone's got to play around it, haven't they?
I would really, really like to think and hope that High Wycombe come to us on the last game of the season having to win it. That would be great for the league. It'd be great for cricket. It would be great for my commentary. I'll have a right old feast in there. But if they come they've won it already, then it might not be such an exciting game. But
Well, let's talk about September the 6th. Not that the date's
yes,
in my mind, obviously. So September the 6th, we have High Wycombe, the Galacticos, coming to Oxford Downs. I've penciled that in as the day that I'm going to make the trip down to you guys and join you.
fantastic. You can join me in the bear pit. You'll be most
Correct.
welcome, Ian.
But if we're going to do that, we've got to make sure we've got Galactico names for the High Wycombe squad.
Okay.
And now I know quite a few of the boys, and I'm bound to piss one or two off. But
Something like Dan Abraham Lincoln, something along those lines.
ooh, there we go. Hey, very knowledgeable. Absolutely, been around a long time. What can we call Connor? Let's go for Connor Haddo. Teddy, what can we call Connor?
It's not appropriate, the thing I've got in my head, so I wouldn't answer it.
We can find. I think I penciled that in as a game to come down to, because I do know a few of the High Wycombe lads, which does help as well.
Yeah.
I'm going to come to a game. It's got to be the end of season. There's always a bit of whether it's High Wycombe need a win or not.
I can tell you there'll be a party atmosphere at the club. There will be a big crowd watching because we go straight from the game into the end of season party and awards, and it will be a real sort of party atmosphere there. Hopefully, we won't be fighting for our lives. I think that there would be a very disappointing run of results between now and then if we are fighting for our lives. But let's hope we're not, and let's hope that High Wycombe have something to play for. Albeit it may be, if we beat High Wycombe, Finch, if they win their game, they win the league. It makes it just a bit more spicy. And don't forget though, Chris Britts has got to go home at the same time as he did last year. And
Let's see, that was going to be one of my questions, because we saw Finch go downhill last year.
They did. They absolutely did, yeah. And also, that to my son's benefit, Chris Britts would have walked the number of runs in the league. He'd have been the highest run scorer by a country mile, but having to go home early let my son just sneak above him. So
can I take it from what you're saying that Del Boy, you've got him for the full season?
I think we have, yeah, we have. Yeah. So that's good.
Del Boy versus Connor Haddo on the last day of the season.
Yeah,
that's a big.
Yes, that's what you're thinking. That's like Messi against Ronaldo sort of stuff.
Messi Ronaldo. Yeah, which Connor's definitely Messi. Is that fair, Teddy?
Yeah, I'll give you that.
Yeah. As for Cam Hemp, well, don't even get me started. He's got to have a nickname that's got to be something to do with the Guyana Max 10. Because he's been out there, so he's obviously he's a bit of the big show now, isn't he? Really?
Big show.
Yeah. Absolutely. Hey, no, you guys do a phenomenal job, and I think for all clubs around the country, I would say if you've got the opportunity, whether it's with an absolute expert like Mac Bowden, or you can learn to do it with your MV Play, or other systems are allowed, but they sponsor us, so I'm not going to mention them. Do it. Get a couple of lads commentating. I can tell you right now, it's almost impossible to be the scorer and commentate. Far too difficult to do two things at once. But if you've got the lads who can do, we've done it at our club on President's Day, where we stream on MV Play, we set up the commentary, and the lads loved it to such an extent they were disappointed when you don't do it the next time. Then obviously, and I think streaming just gives your club so much more, Matt, doesn't it, in terms of building the presence out there?
Yeah, absolutely. Some of the youngsters I've got coming through now want to go on comms. They want to help me set up the kit and everything, and they're looking back at the highlights of the games that they play in. So it's certainly the young crowd coming through. We've only just started with the Instagram Reels and YouTube Shorts, which are are all a bit foreign to me, but they love those too. So we started doing those as well.
Absolutely. And that's what, we're all consuming stuff like that all the time. I saw a stat yesterday. This is me, by the way, as well. Over 55s are watching twice as much YouTube as they were just 2 years ago. That's me. Yeah, if you've asked me how much YouTube I watched 2 years ago, it'd be I don't know what I watched. Now I'm watching half a dozen different things on a regular basis because it's just becoming the norm for us. It's the second most used platform in the country behind the good old BBC, Simon. Yeah, that's the
I'm
hell.
not sure how long that will last because for my sins, I subscribed to the Daily Telegraph online. I see they're calling for the BBC to be scrapped in the Telegraph today, which is an interesting view, but
Wow.
not one I'd adhere to. I like I still watch the Test match highlights on BBC just so I can hear the tune, and it's from a commentary point of view, I don't know how those guys do it because they're all the team for the radio is virtually the same team as the television. So you've got people like Phil Tufnell who go from commentating on the radio straight into the TV and commentating on that, and you sort of think it's a totally different thing. The only person I've ever known do it in football was John Motson. John Motson had the ability to do radio and television, but they are two totally different things.
Absolutely. And you've led me to my final question. It's the one question I've had written down from the start. And Teddy knows me well enough to know my preparation for these things is negligible because
Legendary.
I just don't do any. When it comes to a week one, I do loads because it's all about the stats. But for these, it's dead simple. I've got one question which you could both answer it. Matt, you first. Who is your absolute cricket commentary god?
It's probably Phil Tufnell. Yeah, I admired him as a player, so yeah, it's probably Phil Tufnell. It's a tough one though.
I'm going to go a lot further back. For me, John Arlott. John Arlott just had that silky smooth. There was a raft of BBC commentators back in the day. Murray Walker, all this. They were just sort of, and Wimbledon as well. But John Arlott had that way of making you think that you were right there next to him, watching it with him. And most people have never heard of John Arlott, but he was the first person I remember on television. Jim Laker was another one. He had that voice as well. And of all the modern ones, I think the Sky Boys are absolutely brilliant. I think they are. When you've got the raft of old England captains, I think David Gower would be right up there with John Arlott. I think he's as a front man more than as a commentator. But David Gower, just a legendary guy and a legendary commentator. But yeah, John Arlott would be the one just because he had that voice that sucked you in and made you want to be there.
He did. Go on, Teddy. You're a cricket fanatic like all of us. Who's been yours?
Oh God, you're not going to like my answer, but I love either when Ricky Ponting or Kevin Peterson get on the mics. They are some of my favourite because they know the game so well.
I think Ricky Ponting is really good. I do. He is extremely good. And also I thought Shane Warne was very good as well. And that most of the Aussies are good because it comes naturally to them.
I'm with you, Simon, but slightly less old than John Arlott. Brian Johnston,
yes,
absolute. The governor, as far as I was concerned.
When he lost it with Aggers, when both of them got his leg over.
Exactly. But modern day commentary, I don't think on Sky Sports I can beat Michael Atherton. He is absolutely spot on, 99.9999% of the time. And on the radio, I've got to know this guy a little bit. I chatted with him at Old Trafford last week, and I love listening to him on his own podcast, who are on the same network as us. That's quite handy. I love Dan. Dan Norcross is absolutely brilliant. As a badger, he's absolutely on it. But I'd love to see him in the Oxford Downs box because he talks like a normal person when it comes to talking about cricket.
You'll have to be careful because we have our own badger at Oxford Downs, and I think you know him, Paul Fowler.
Uh-huh.
He is known as the Badger because he's all knowledgeable about all things and pops up. He's as close as we've got to Matt that isn't Matt with regards to understanding the things we do. But he's not quite where Matt is, but he's better than Barnes and myself, who are completely clueless.
We all need them. Teddy.
Yes.
Got one last question for you all, and I will be clipping this, so I can't wait for your responses. Who's going down at the end of the year?
I'll go first. Stoke Green. They came to play us, and I honestly thought that they really weren't interested and were playing kamikaze shots, didn't care, and later on the season they were all bowled out for a very low score as well. They must have turned it round to win a game.
Well, have you seen who they brought in?
No, I haven't.
Mr. Safe Zabe. Played
Really?
his first league game of the year on Saturday and got 100. So could he rescue them? There's only 6 points in it.
Yes, he could do. The others are really, really big. Everyone is going to be trying hard. I would hate to see Banbury struggle because I'm actually in Banbury now. My office is in Banbury. Banbury is my second home away from Oxford. But I think I'm not sure that anyone in the bottom 5 are safe.
I agree.
Yeah, I'm with you with Stoke Green, but with that signing, they may just scrape in there. I really don't think Banbury and Rowan are out of the battle either.
Yeah, I agree. I am going to say I think Stoke Green are the ones, but the one that I've got my close eye on is Aston Rowans.
Mine too.
They are picking up wins, but when they don't pick up wins, they're not picking up enough bonus points. And that makes a massive difference in that league table. I think they've got...
It'd be a shame because they're founder members, aren't they? They were one of the original teams to be in it. And they've never been relegated, have they?
I don't think so, but you know what? Like, it's not about the club, but it's freezing cold there every year. I don't want to play there anymore. So if we...
Interesting story about Aston Rowan. I had my one and only day ever with hay fever. It was after COVID. It was after COVID, and something about the COVID jabs had a hay fever issue. And I was sitting there, and my eyes started to water. I was watching the match. My eyes started to water. I couldn't breathe. I was sneezing. My nose was running. My wife turned to me and said, "You've got hay fever." I said, "I don't have hay fever." So my one and only day hay fever in my entire life was at Aston Rowan Cricket Club.
Yeah.
I've suffered for 40 years, so you might as well get rid of them.
Yeah. Got a lot of respect for a lot of the players, but it's too cold there. So
yeah, I think Matt summed it up though. If you look from 4th place down to 9th, you've got 27 points covering all of those teams. Oxford Downs, Finch and High Wycombe, forget it, you're gone. But anyone in that bottom bunch, 2 or 3 results, and the league's going to turn on its head, isn't it?
Yeah, definitely. There's going to be a lot of no game is going to be a game without something to play for.
Yes,
and that's what you really want from a league. I mean, look at the Premier League this year. It was a bit of they were desperately trying to find exciting things to happen on the last couple of weeks, and there wasn't really. All the teams have been relegated. The league was won, and if you've got exciting games, you're going to get better cricket.
Well, if you're talking Premier League football, I must admit I thought every single week was exciting last year because as a Liverpool fan, it was just there was something to play for week in, week out, and that was just see how many points we could batter everyone.
Well, I'm an Arsenal fan, so if you get Isaac, I'm emigrating somewhere else.
That's about right. Hey, anything else, Teddy, or do you want me to wrap it up?
You can wrap it up, mate.
Hey, it's been great talking with you guys down at Oxford Downs. We call you the roguest YouTube setup, but now that we know that you're not MV Play or Frogbox, you are definitely rogue. There's no two ways. But that makes it even more the merrier. Matt, there's a job there. You could set up a whole business setting these up around the country, doing your own thing. But
the hobby that's got out of control.
Absolutely. Guess what? This is what I'm doing right now. But keep going what you're doing. Keep bringing colour to.
Oh yes.
What can be quite, as you say, staged, quite soulless, Simon. It'd be great to see you guys. I'm going to keep that date penciled in and fingers crossed.
You're most welcome.